Do you think there was sleep deprivation with you?
Yes. It was funny because even after I had mentioned that typically I'm not like crack of dawn kind of person, they woke me up at the crack of dawn the next day.
The night that he came home, he had a glaze over his eyes, and I looked at him and I'm like, I'm hugging him, crying, and I'm like, you're here, Jordan, but where are you? I'm looking in his eyes, and I knew there was something about him that wasn't right, that it wasn't, all just brainwashing. There was something chemically making him do strange things. His fingers were like twitching, and his toes.
His toes were curling, and at one point, like, we're trying to talk to him, and like, he kind of like made his eyes just like roll back in his head, and like, I mean, he was, and it took about 3 days for like, because he was just bizarre even after we got him home. But then probably after about 3 days, he was, I would say back to normal, back to Jordan, back to, my brother.
Mm-hmm. I want to take a look at some of the research that has told us that there are typical traits of a cult leader versus the accusations against the Church of Wells. We put together a list to compare these so you can kind of see what's going on. And in terms of typical traits, they isolate their members from contact with their family and the outside world. The Church of Wells, Jordan and Catherine, unable to contact their family, and they do everything they can to alienate them from their family. And of course, these are reports that they've given, and they're accusations that you guys make, that you guys are making, and they haven't admitted to this. They move members house to house. Typical traits: devalue others as being inferior, incapable, not worthy. Church of Wells, it's alleged that they convince members that they're not saved, that they're inferior in some way. Typical traits: doesn't think anything wrong with themselves. Leader sees themselves as blessed. Church of Wells, only the elders know who is saved because they are saved and they know the true gospel. Then typical trait, they tend to ignore the needs of others, biological, physical, emotional, financial. Church of Wells, the members stay in a shed for days without food or bathroom. This is what you say you have seen. Catherine looks starved. Told can't smile, can't be happy. Jordan kept up past midnight, gotten up before sunup. Another typical trait, they demand blind, unquestioned obedience. Church of Wells, Catherine told parents must only listen to the elders. Elders spoke for Catherine and Jordan. I mean, it just goes on, and you can see the parallels between what we see with typical cults and what is alleged to be going on at the Church of Wells. And I can tell you, and I've said this before, if I was allowed to control one thing, to take control of someone's thinking and motivations, emotions, and sanity, the one thing I would want control of is sleep. Because if you can keep somebody awake long enough, and you can control their sleep, whether they can sleep or whether they can't, you can take anyone to the edge of sanity and beyond.